Welcome to RotoGrinders Today. I'm Jordan Cooper, a.k.a. BlenderHD. You're going to follow me on Twitter. And it's Wednesday, September 11th. We'll be taking a first look at the Week 2 main slate on DraftKings and FanDuel. So hit that thumbs up button on your way in the door. Give me those thummy thumbs. You know, I know how much I like them in the morning. Hit that thumbs up button. Hit the subscribe button if you're new here. Hit the notification bell to know when we go live. We still got baseball going on, so later today, Grinders Live, 5 p.m. Eastern, followed by Crunch Time. So for all your MLB needs, definitely check that out. But to take a look at the first look at the Week 2 slate, we got a pretty large slate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 games. Right, no bye weeks yet. And to take a look, first look, got Alex Sonty in, and yeah, so we already got it's been the first week, Alex, and we've already gotten people being out, people on the IR, the questionable players, stuff like that. So it's like every week we're gonna get some team that's way underpriced, and we have a whole bunch of high totals. I mean, there's 3 like fairly high total games, but also a bunch of teams that have high totals that are like touchdown favorites. We got Baltimore 25.5 implied total, Dallas 26 implied total, Detroit 29.25 implied total. We got San Fran 25.75 implied total. We got Arizona 25.25, Kansas City 26.75. So let's take a look at quarterback. I don't know what stands out to me. Have we ever seen Patrick Mahomes to be only 7K?
I was going to say the same thing. I don't think I've ever seen that. And I wonder if they price him, if they did some manual price adjustments, because we don't have. I mean, there are questionable guys. There are guys who are gone on the IR, but the value isn't glaring on this slate yet. Like you got to jam in this, $4,500 running back, or you got to jam in this 3K wide receiver yet. Right now, I was just playing around before the show started, taking a first look, and Patrick Mahomes isn't very difficult to build around for a cash lineup, even without massive value. And we're gonna get value come Friday. Someone's gonna get hurt, in practice. Someone's just not gonna be ouchy someone's gonna be ouchy from the weekend. Sunday morning we'll get some value. So Mahomes he hits the top of the list. I mean, he projects the best. It's going to be a high scoring game. It's Patrick Mahomes. He can always put up 30 points on anyone, even if he doesn't run the ball very much.
Right. I mean, people may look at Lamar Jackson at 7,700 and go, well, he rushed for over 100 yards last week. I'm not necessarily sure if he's going to have to do that this week as a fairly hefty favorite against the Raiders. Like, I don't mind Lamar at 7,700. If I could play him, I never mind playing him. But it feels like this like high 6K range, 7K range is where I'd be living most. And obviously, just to let people know, we talk about GPP stuff on Friday with Squirrel Patrol. So this is more of a chalky cash game, small field, single entry, kind of like what are the best plays of the week type of, what are the best projected plays type of conversation. So it's, obviously you could play, Trevor Lawrence against the Browns as, for GPPs or something like that. Probably not looking at them for, small field or cash games. But I feel like if I didn't have the money to get to Mahomes at 7K, I think my next best option is Kyler Murray at 6,600 because, I mean, the Cardinals have a 25.25 implied team.
That line they're 2-point favorites over the Rams, right?
Right.
It is in Arizona, but that line really stuck out to me. I figured it would be the other way around, maybe the Rams 2-point favorites on the road in Arizona. But if you're telling me that Kyler's team is going to put up 24, 25, 26, I want a lot of Kyler because he does so much with the ball in his hands. The next guy I'm looking at, I want to go back to your Lamar Jackson point really quickly.
Okay.
With Lamar Jackson, we like Lamar Jackson in competitive games. Those are the games when he gets the ball in his hands a lot more. They run the ball a little bit less, and he takes off, and it turns into, hey, Lamar, make a play. Hey, Lamar, make a play. And that's the play call. It seems, if as the observer, almost in a competitive game, every play is, hey, Lamar, make a play. So we like him more in competitive games where the spread is tighter. So Kyler Murray sticks out as, a next guy who's cheaper. watching, we don't learn. I'm gonna overreact. I don't think I'm overreacting to week one when I say I think the Commanders, the Giants, and the Panthers will be teams that will be targeting offense against a lot. And this isn't just a week one thing. These teams were bad last year. They didn't really make improvements. So I don't think
Alex,
going.
who are facing each other. I was going to bring up Jaden Daniels
I was just about to say, I think Jaden Daniels is in play even at 62K. We got a price bump on him. I thought he was going to be, still under 6K, but I think Jaden Daniels is probably the next guy after Kyler on my list.
The thing is that with Daniel Jones and Jaden Daniels, expect high variance, right?
It's a lot of unknowns.
Right. Another person that, he was chalky last week. I played him in cash. Anthony Richardson at 6,800 on the road to Green Bay. They're favored, especially with, Jordan Love being out for the Packers. Anthony Richardson may be in the same spot as like Lamar Jackson, where like if they don't need to have him throw the ball, they're not going to have him throw the ball, right? So do I mind Anthony Richardson at 6,800? I always, in cash games, I tend to want to play rushing quarterbacks, but if I'm going to play a rushing quarterback on this slate, it feels like Kyler Murray at 6,600 is price considered who I should play, especially with their team total.
If we flip the prices and we apply some of that same logic to, Lamar Jackson in a competitive game, even if Indy doesn't have this high implied total, just being in a competitive game puts the ball in Anthony Richardson's hands a lot more to do things. And the guy's got a bomb of it. He throws bombs out there. He's not, he isn't Captain Checkdown. So we want a guy who's going to run a lot or take shots downfield. So I think he's a good play. I was actually, and again, talking about flip-flopping prices here, I would have thought Kyler would have been closer to 7K, and Anthony Richardson, I thought they were going to keep pricing him down, but they've bumped him up. So because of the price difference, I think I would prioritize Kyler over Anthony Richardson.
But still, at the end of the day, if I'm not going to play a Russian quarterback, I'm going to play Patrick Mahomes with at home with a 26.75 implied team total against a Bengals team that looks, at least after the first week, pretty damn horrible. Him getting the bonus, he probably has the safest floor from passing. It's Patrick Mahomes, for crying out loud. Right. Any other quarterbacks that you even consider to be viable?
I think this is a crazy hypothetical. If we don't get the obvious value that we will get the obvious value somewhere later in the week. Then Justin Fields becomes a possibility. I don't go there in cash. I don't play, these high variance, high sack, these guys who get sacked on second and 2 for 15-yard losses and get put in third and longs, and but his price is right if we need the money. I don't think we're going to need that much money, so I'm not really thinking about him. But if we find ourselves needing that money, it's not the worst play to go under 6K.
The Steelers are 3-point favorites on the road to Denver.
In Denver, yeah. Denver could be that bad. I don't think Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh offense was terrible. They should have.
Their defense is what's going to save them, and just Do I really want to play a quarterback in a road quarterback in a game that has a 36.5 implied total?
Well, the guy can run for 100 yards. But it
doesn't mean that he will. Doesn't mean that they even allow him to.
Well, yeah. Justin Fields takes the game into his own hands. He doesn't exactly. I don't think he's a guy who follows coaching very well. He comes off as a guy who, we saw a lot on. I feel like we saw a lot in that Atlanta game. 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, simple out pattern, simple slants, and he was running up the middle, turning it into quarterback draws. So if a guy's going to do that and take the game into his own hands, he doesn't have to be good. He just has to be willing to do it sometimes.
Mario Dinesi in chat says he likes Baker Mayfield and Stafford on DK. I like that game. I think they're fine. I just feel like I can find the 600 and get the Kyler Murray. Like the pocket passers at 6K are like they're fine. 5,900 Mayfield, 6K Stafford are
Sure.
fine. I think there's more upside and higher floor with guys like Murray, with guys like, I mean, even someone like Dak Prescott at 6,700. Like you could get a little bit more, right? Or possibly get a 35-point game because they end up rushing, a touchdown in 50 yards, stuff like that. You really don't get that from Mayfield or Stafford.
No, and again, this is the big elephant in the room is Patrick Mahomes is only 7K. So if we're not going to find rushing upside, we can find 350, 400 yard passing upside in Patrick Mahomes.
Let's get to running backs. The blitz projections currently have Christian McCaffrey in, but the elephant in the room is that Christian McCaffrey doesn't play. You're just going to plug and play Jordan Mason at 5,200. I mean, that's going to be the obvious value of the entire slate. I hope that people got on board with the props and pick'em stuff on Monday night when McCaffrey was ruled inactive. I did very well with grabbing some Jordan Mason over 58.5 rushing yards and plus 175 anytime touchdown scorer. And even Kyle Juszczyk, I took the over receiving yards there because, you're scrambling going, well, if McCaffrey's out, I mean, everyone gets a boost. But
someone's going to get the ball.
Right. But you have to expect, I mean, it wasn't this instance for San Francisco where, okay, Jordan Mason got some of the work, but you also have like Patrick Taylor there. They got other people, Juszczyk, or obviously Debo gets some carries as well. They didn't mind just giving the ball to Jordan Mason 20 plus times in the game against the Jets. So, like, do you have any concerns about playing the lead running back on a 25-point favorite team for 5,200? Because I don't.
Coached by Shanahan, who loves to run the football. That guy wants to run the football 40 times a game. If you give him the opportunity, give him an early lead, 13-0 or something, he will run the ball 40 times a game. Even if we get a little timeshare action, Jordan Mason's going to find his 25 touches.
And this is the main reason why, like, spending up at wide receiver, you're going to have all the salary in the world. You're probably spending down at tight end. So,
yeah.
I don't think we necessarily have to go that cheap at running back outside of Mason. But looking at, like, the more expensive, I think we're primarily going to be spending some in the sixes and the high sixes, low sevens. To me, the number one standout is Breece Hall at 7,400. The Jets at the Titans. I mean, already we have props up for Hall. 75 rushing yards and minus 190 anytime touchdown. He's going to catch, 4, 5, 6 balls out of the backfield. And we saw, even when Rodgers came out of the game, they were just giving him the ball. I don't necessarily think the Jets are very good, but they are going to be a favorite over Will Levis on the road. The Jets defense is very good. So, I mean, no matter what the thing about guys like Breece Hall is that I really don't care what the game script is. He's gonna be involved. And in PPR scoring on DraftKings, like, Breece Hall is the new Alvin Kamara. Not even because he actually sees most of the work. It's not like he has Mark Ingram or something with him. I mean, I think Breece Hall
Breece Hall gets a volume bump over what Alvin Kamara was.
Right. But I think by the end of the year, it's quite possible Breece Hall is a 9K running back on DraftKings.
I totally agree with that. I think it's between him and Jacobs because Jacobs is just someone's got to get the ball in Green Bay. And I think if we're gonna go under, I would like to find the money for Breece Hall because he's very underpriced right now. I think I agree that this guy should be probably a close to Christian McCaffrey type of price player because he's going to get so much volume. I do think it depends on what we're spending on wide receiver, right? I mean, this is where lineup construction comes in. If we're jamming in the St. Brown and CeeDee Lamb, we might not be able to afford Breece Hall.
Right. Well, I'm not doing that. So that's why I'm affording Breece Hall.
That's why you're affording Breece Hall. That makes total sense.
Other running backs, Alex. Like other running backs, the running backs that I like, if outside of Mason, which we obviously won't know until McCaffrey is ruled out or stays in, Uh, if I had a choice between 3 running backs and I could just use these 3 in my
Mhm,
DraftKings lineup, it would be Brees Hall at 7,400, Kyron
mhm.
Williams at 6,800, and Isaiah Pacheco at 6,900. These are all guys that you're going to see the majority of the work
Yeah,
on teams that are favored. I mean, the Rams aren't favored, but they at least have like a 23 implied total. They're a 2-point dog. And they also catch balls out of the backfield. So, like, I take a look at, you mentioned Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs, Ramondre Stevenson, someone brought up in chat also. I I I don't want to play guys on teams that have like low totals and may be playing from behind for most of the game. Like maybe they have a good enough floor, but it's hard for me to see Josh Jacobs get 30 fantasy points with Malik Willis under center, or the Patriots against Seattle with Ramondre Stevenson getting, like, I just typically in cash environments. Now we're not talking about GPPs. Is that I tend to want to play teams that are favored, that have high totals, right? Like in general. So like Derrick Henry, on the other hand, I could
I was
understand that at least somewhat. 6,700 against the Raiders. I'm a notorious Derrick Henry fader. Uh I don't think they could give Derrick Henry 25 touches. Like I
I
just don't think that I just
yeah,
don't think the Ravens play in that way. So
they
maybe
don't.
can he get 3 touchdowns? Sure, of course. But I just don't think, yeah, the Ravens are favored against the Raiders. It's just for PPR scoring 6,700 Henry, like he's not catching passes. I mean, it's not like even when he was the last year on the Titans where he was catching some passes. Like they bring in Justice Hill. Like Derrick Henry is just going to just run straight down the middle. And then he also gets rushing yards siphoned off by Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson get the rushing touchdown, and Derrick Henry doesn't get it. I'd rather play Henry over Jacobs and Ramondre Stevenson, but I'm personally pricing is kind of someone. If Mason is available, like getting 2 of these, getting Brees Hall and one of Kyron Williams or Isaiah Pacheco seems just like I
That
could
should
do
work.
it. It's easy. It work.
That
I
should
mean, I
work.
could fit everyone in. It doesn't matter.
If McCaffrey plays though, I think we're gonna have to find some sort of value. So we should. Um, I don't think Austin Eckler. I don't know what his snap count was, but he wasn't used at all in their offense, in the Washington offense. And Brian Robinson is there under 6K against a Giants team. It was funny. We talked about Aaron Jones last week, and no one's really talking about Aaron Jones earlier in the week. That was one of our, it just kind of makes sense. Minnesota's going to give him the ball, and they showed some stat. I think they showed that the Giants gave up the most rushing touchdowns last year in the red zone, and then the next play, Aaron Jones ran to the outside and looked like Barry Sanders and scored a touchdown from a couple of yards out. I think Brian Robinson could look for a big game against the Giants. I want to target this Giants defense with something, and if we have to spend under 6K on a running back that isn't Jordan Mason, I don't think Brian Robinson is the worst call.
Are there any other running backs that you're looking at? I mean, obviously, you go back to the well with Rashad White at 6,300. I think he's
Yeah,
okay.
it's going to be a high
Right.
scoring game. I think I wonder if a darling that people have, I don't like to play him, is Najee Harris. He got the ball 20 times, and that might be appealing to people. But the guy doesn't do anything when he gets the ball. I mean, they run him up the middle to run to the line and fall down, and I don't like that play. So I wanted to just bring that up because I think he might be enticing because the touches per dollar seems is tempting, but they're bad touches. They're just not high quality touches that he gets.
But at least he gets them. Like I'm much more likely, like people are J.K. Dobbins or people I just cash game stuff. I don't want to play timeshare people. Like you play
Yeah,
the high efficiency, high value touch people that only see the ball 8 times. You play those in GPPs. I ain't
yeah,
dealing with that in like I'm not playing, like I'm not choosing between Lions running backs in cash.
no,
Jameer Gibbs at 6,600, David Montgomery at 6K. Like, good luck to you. Feel free to take a
yeah,
shot on them in GPP. I don't care. Now, well, they have a 29 implied team total. It's like not in cash. I'm not, the Lions could spread the ball around and then no one gets there. So, like, I'd rather just take the guys that They're on the field 85% of the time. They're a focus of the offense. Just give it to me. Rashad White last week, like, it's not like he did much, but he still scored like 16 fantasy points.
And he got the ball.
Right, because he got the right, because he was on the field
It's
and got the ball.
important to just get the ball. You got the ball.
Right. Let's go to wide receiver. I would assume the first guy in your lineup outside of Jordan Mason. I don't want to call him like the obvious value because he is, even though he's expensive. Cooper Kupp at 7,600.
Oh wow. Okay, I thought we were going to disagree on this because that's what I was thinking was Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp right now has a receiving prop of 7.5 receptions for 85.5 yards. He has a higher receiving props and an anytime touchdown at -105. That's higher than Justin Jefferson on this slate. Mm-hmm. Cooper Kupp is preloaded into my cash lineup, no problem. He got 21 targets when Puka went out. I'm not saying that he's going to get that, but we're getting old school Cooper Kupp again.
Yeah, right? We're going to get it's going to be a 10-12 catch type of game for Cooper Kupp. And this isn't Wes Welker who, used to get those targets 4 yards downfield and maybe we get 60, 70 yards out of him. I mean, Cooper Kupp can, he runs patterns down the field. He gets targeted in the red zone. It could turn into the Cooper Kupp show, especially if you're telling me that this is going to be a very tight game where LA could be playing from behind. I like Cooper Kupp even more.
The next guy that I like, if Hollywood Brown is still out, Rashee Rice at 6,700. Just seems like they underpriced the Chiefs by a little bit for everyone. 6,700 for him. I mean, you could play Kupp Rice with Mason, and then you still get a cheap tight end and another cheaper receiver. I mean, you can make these lineups. These lineups aren't difficult to make. But he would be my next target. I'm looking like right now in like my dummy lineup, I have Cooper Kupp, Rashee Rice, and Malik Neighbors. And I'm not a huge fan of Malik Neighbors at 5,900. His prop looks nice. It's the same price that he was last week. I played him last week. It's just the Giants Commanders game. I like the game because these teams could offensively play bad or defensively play bad. So this game could be like 10-4, 10 to 6, or it could be 42-35. Just that it's like just so untrustworthy of what the hell's got. Like Wan'Dale Robinson is 4,300. But I mean, it's a Daniel Jones offense. It's Daniel Jones for crying out loud. So what are your thoughts on guys like Rice and Neighbors?
So Rice, we're projecting Rice to get a lot of targets in these environments. And I agree with that. I think this is not a Chiefs offense where Mahomes is very unpredictable. I think we know where the ball is going with the Chiefs right now. So Rashee Rice is definitely it's underpriced for the volume he's getting from the best quarter. Even if, I think Rice has talent, quote unquote. But even if he was a lesser talent, we would expect him to get the ball thrown to him 8 to 10 times. We just plug it in because it's Patrick Mahomes throwing him footballs. And then Malik Neighbors was actually one of the first wide receivers that I did plug in because I was trying to look for something under 6K to make things work. And Neighbors was the only guy who really stood out to me under 6K, partially because the Commanders give up a lot of big plays. It's Daniel Jones who's really terrible, but Malik Neighbors can make big plays with his own feet and hands. So yeah, Neighbors was high on my list coming into the show, and I was actually thinking you were not going to be on him. But
my attitude, my nitty attitude is that you have Malik Neighbors at 5,900 and Chris Godwin at 6K.
6K.
Right. Yeah. So it's like I think Neighbors has a higher ceiling than Godwin, but I feel so much more comfortable with a Baker Mayfield Chris Godwin in a high total game, on the turf, right? It's like
in the dome.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, you mentioned him earlier. On the high end, Amon-Ra St. Brown, 8,100. The Lions have a 29 plus implied team total. I watched the game, their first game. I don't know if it's aberration that I think the defense was taking away the middle of the field, which is typically where Amon-Ra St. Brown operates. So it's quite possible that Amon-Ra St. Brown is still an 8K receiver for the Lions. With Jameson Williams actually showing up and doing something, and he always still got Sam Laporta, you got Gibbs out of the backfield. It's also possible that Amon-Ra St. Brown is a 5K wide receiver. Is a 5K possession, 5 catches for 60 yards type of wide receiver. Like he's Chris Godwin, right? He's that guy, right? I think in GPPs, I think people are going to overreact, and not many people are going to play St. Brown. Although the Lions do, that's going to be a popular game, so maybe he does get owned. I just want to be on whatever the opposite side of the field is. Like I'm not going to play him in cash, but I just wanted to mention Amon-Ra St. Brown because he is the #1 wide receiver for the highest total team. Like I'm playing Cooper Kupp over. I mean, like there's no doubt in my mind that you should be playing Cooper Kupp over Amon-Ra St. Brown. But I mean, if at that price, I'd find the 200, get Justin Jefferson, right? I'd play CeeDee Lamb for 700 more. I'm just not sure that Amon-Ra St. Brown may end up being what ended up with Michael Thomas, right? Michael Thomas, we go back 5 or 6 years. He was a $9,500 wide receiver catching, 12 slants every week from Drew Brees, 110 yards and 2 touchdowns. And when that stopped happening, well, Michael Thomas is is Wan'Dale Robinson, right? It's just 4-yard little nothings and stop and goes and 4 receptions. Maybe Amon-Ra St. Brown is that. So if he's going to be owned, I mean, let people overpay for him in that case. But if no one wants to play him because they overreact from last week, I'll play him at 3% ownership, right? Like I know this is more of a GPP discussion, but I mean, I assume you're not thinking about playing Amon-Ra St. Brown in cash games, even with Cooper Kupp.
If the value shows up later in the week, I would. And I think you're overreacting a little bit to week 1 because this is a guy who's getting 10, 12 targets pretty much every week for a couple of years. So,
yeah, but
I mean,
look who was on his team: Khalif Raymond and Josh Reynolds, and garbage.
I mean, are we going to elevate? Are we going to call Jameson Williams the Scottie Pippen of wide receiver cores, though? I mean,
he's getting the thing. He's getting the ball. He's getting targets, right? To me, Khalif Raymond could always catch a fucking 70-yard pass, but they're not targeting Raymond 6 times. Jameson Williams. I looked it up. Jameson Williams is the first read on 8 or 9 passes. That's to me, that's not good for Amon-Ra St. Brown, where he's literally the play is designed for him that many times. But it could be that they were taking away the middle of the field, so they had to do that. So, like I said, I don't know what this. I mean, I think it's too volatile to play in cash games. And if I'm going to play anyone at this price, I'm going to prioritize Breece Hall. I mean, after Cooper Kupp, I'll take Breece Hall before Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, I'll take there are other running backs. I'll take Kamara over him. I'll take I don't need an $8,100 wide receiver.
All these guys you name though, they don't have 29.25 totals in a dome.
Yeah, but the Lions, Montgomery has 2 touchdowns. Gibbs has a touchdown. Laporta has a touchdown. Some 4th receiver. It's a special teams touchdown, right? The Lions have more people now.
Jared Goff has a long history of feeding one guy, though. And maybe that is what makes him more of a GPP play, because when he is in that mode of feeding one guy, it's going to be 15 to 19 times Amon-Ra St. Brown, and you're saying there's a floor of maybe only 5 or 6 targets. But Amon-Ra St. Brown can still get it's a #1 receiver from Jared Goff. That guy can get 15 targets. We saw it with Cooper Kupp when he was in LA. We've seen it with Amon-Ra St. Brown these last couple of years, where he doesn't just put up 10, 12 target games. He gets 15, 18, 19 targets. So with a 29.25 total, I can't just X him off. I can't X him off. Cooper Kupp is my #1 target. Cooper Kupp is my #1 target. I'm not saying that. And in cash, Justin Jefferson, I don't trust it. Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, congratulations. You had a very efficient game against the New York Football Giants. But I don't trust that happening against the 49ers. CeeDee Lamb is very expensive, and I don't really trust. This isn't the great Saints. This isn't the stronger Saints defense that we saw in the past. So I could see finding the $700 or $700 to $800 to go up CeeDee Lamb. But I still think Amon-Ra St. Brown is on my list just because the target upside is huge for him. And I don't want to overreact to the first week of him getting the 6 targets. If we see this again, then he could be a GPP only play, but I'm not going to overreact to it because the guy has such a long history. I mean, so dating back to week 6, I mean, last year, 15 targets, 19 targets, 9, 9, 11, 11, 6. That's bad. 8, 9, 14, 8, 10. I mean, this guy gets a lot of targets from Jared Goff. When Jared Goff trusts a guy, he throws to him a lot.
Okay, well, I will be the opposite of the field. If the field wants to play him, I'll probably not have much of him in GPP. If it doesn't want to play him, I'll play him a bunch. Let's get to tight end. I think, to me, obviously we don't know if Jake Ferguson is going to be playing. Probably not. He's there at 4,700. I wouldn't have played him to begin with. I think, to me, if you pay up, you're playing Trey McBride at 6K. I think, and if you pay down, the tight end of the week, I'm going to play Colby Parkinson at 3,100.
Yeah. I was trying to find a guy because of the tight end wasteland, and we don't have this like immense value right now. I was trying to look for a guy in the around 3K or even like a $2,500 crapper, and I really couldn't find it. But Colby Parkinson, I mean, he's projecting fine for 3,100. He was like, when I made a dummy lineup before we started the show just to see what the optimizer would spit out, I was like, fine, well, I'll just plug him in and see what the optimizer spits out around him. It's fine. It's totally fine.
Right, but if you didn't want to play Parkinson, you could play any 3. Hayden Hurst, Mike
you could just play just about anywhere.
Right.
I mean, I don't think you can play like Jordan Akins. I wouldn't want to play a timeshare tight end, but a guy like Parkinson who will be on the field and get some action, why not? I mean, I'm looking at the rest of these guys all these guys are, 2 tight end set type of guys who, I mean,
people are going to go, are people going to play $4,800 Isaiah Likely?
With the total, I hope they do. Yeah.
Right.
Because of the total. But it's pretty much Trey McBride. It's McBride or Parkinson, and those are the only names that are popping out to me right now. I could see, I think, you're going to talk GPPs, and what we didn't talk about with wide receivers was Jamar Chase and what's going on with the Bengals offense. If people still don't trust Jamar Chase, I think in GPPs, Mike Gesicki is going to get some looks. But we can't do that in cash.
Right. Okay, DST to close it out. My dummy lineup has the Broncos against Justin Fields at 2,800. I don't think there's a reason to necessarily spend up. I mean, in cash games, you're rarely ever spending up at defense. But if I was going to play anyone I mean, truthfully, Commanders or Giants, like, to me, that game could be a train wreck, or, I mean, like, in either side could be a train wreck. So I don't mind playing the Commanders at 3K. I don't mind playing the Giants at 2,700. I guess the Colts at 3,300 against Malik Willis is, I don't know. I don't know how that game is necessarily going to go.
And I don't know how much I want to. Well, first off, I don't know if I want to spend 3,300 on a defense.
Right.
2, if the ball's going to be taken out of the quarterback's hands, that's really not a spot where we want to spend 3,300 on a defense, because we want a bad quarterback slinging the rock a lot. Right. When we're looking at a defense. My first thought was to play against Justin Fields because he's going to get the ball in his hands a lot and he can do dumb things. I don't think the Packers are terrible for 2,600. Because usually what I do with defense, I'll just say it, what I do with defense. I sort by price, and then I find the cheapest team that I can stomach that doesn't make me totally vomit. Right. And the Packers are 2,600. And if you look at everything cheaper than the Packers, everything kind of there makes me want to vomit. Like, I don't want to play the Raiders. I don't want to play the Bucks in a dome. I don't want to play the Saints against Dallas. I don't want to play the Vikings against San Francisco because they're San Francisco. The Panthers I tried the Panthers last week. I'm not doing that again. because Derek Carr is not good, and Derek Carr looked like Peyton Manning.
Right.
And the Cardinals against the Rams, I have a lot more faith in. I think that game is going to shoot out. I have a lot more faith in the Rams offense in general. So when I just sort by price, the Packers are the first name that's like, you know what? It's a young quarterback. He puts the ball in his own hands a lot. He takes a lot of deep shots. With deep shots come interceptions. With a lot of runs can come a lot of shots for fumbles. Like, there's just a lot there. I'm not saying the Colts won't score points. The Colts will score points, but the Colts can score 18 to 20 points, and the Packers can still put up double-digit fantasy points.
Right. But in general, for cash games, you're primarily spending. It's like whatever fits. If at the end of the day, you have whatever's left, it just whatever fits. It's such a high variance position. It just, if you like the rest of your lineup, you plug that in. It could be the Buccaneers for all you know. It's like the defensive scoring is so flat and high, like varying from week to week, that it really don't go out of your way to having to play a defense ever.
No.
Any other thoughts as far as, plays on the slate, the highest projected stuff, right? Cash game stuff. I know we didn't really talk about FanDuel. We mostly talk about DraftKings. Because, we'll talk about GPPs with Score Patrol on Friday. And tomorrow I got Will on, or Cardi. I think it's Will, for props and pick'em. But any other thing outside of McCaffrey Mason, like, are we waiting on news for anyone else? Are we expecting other people to be, ruled out or something? Or it's one of these things where we may not even know till Friday, and it'll be like, oh, okay, this guy's out. I guess we're playing this $3,200 wide receiver that's going to get a 22% target share.
I don't think we're going to get an honest answer out of Cincinnati. But if we do hear the negative side that Jamar Chase will be limited again or something like that, I think we stay away. But
are we going back to Andre Iosivas? Are we going back to Iosivas? That guy, Yoshi?
Well, no, because what they did was they spread the ball around. We thought it was like, oh, it's Joe Burrow. He throws to one or two guys a lot, and that didn't end up happening. But if we get kind of no news on the Bengals, I don't think Jamar Chase at 7,800, if we get some other value, is another guy to jam in with Cooper Kupp. I don't think that's a bad idea, because that game could just start to shoot out.
I think that's more GPPs for me. Not going to play Jamar Chase.
You're not going to play Jamar Chase. I can see that, but if, again, we need Jordan Mason, we need another running back to sit out, we need another Iosivas type of situation at wide receiver, which we could get. We could get a situation like that.
Right. And that's why you need to. That's why you need to subscribe to RotoGrinders. Download the app, right? You get all the news notifications just sent to your phone. You don't have to pay for that. That's not premium. Just download the RotoGrinders app, iOS, Android, and turn on the NFL notifications. You'll get all of that directly to your phone, especially at 11:30 Eastern on Sundays when inactives and stuff like that come in. If a player gets arrested outside of the stadium, we'll send you the notification to let you know what the hell is going on. So definitely get that. And obviously we have all the projections, all the ownership, all the premium content. We have tons. We have so much content for NFL. It's ridiculous. And then we got MLB, MMA, PGA, college football statistical projections for props. We got everything. So get a combo premium membership here at RotoGrinders by clicking on the link in the description, getting $40 off your first month. Alex, what else do you got going on this week?
I'm just doing a lot of prize pick stuff. I'm starting to lay low a little bit. Baseball season's starting to end. So I'm just playing a little bit of baseball, but I'm really focusing on football right now. And, last week, the plays that we talked about on last week's show ended up kind of becoming my cash lineup. It was like Richardson, Aaron Jones. Tyreek Hill was kind of the obvious play. Iosivas was the play everyone played. And I put in Panthers defense. We talked about Kyle Pitts a lot, I think, last week, and he got a touchdown. He didn't score a lot of points, but did pretty well. I don't think that's going to be the case this week. I think a lot of the plays we just talked about, half of them are going to get nixed out with later news.
Not Cooper.
So yeah,
Kupp.
pay attention.
Not Cooper.
Not Cooper Kupp. Not Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp is automatic at that price.
Yes.
But I think in general, we spread it out in terms of who we talked about, and then when the news comes in, you can make your decisions from there.
Right.
But really pay attention to news on Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Well, you can make your decisions about playing the baseball slate today. We got Grinders Live 5 p.m. Eastern, followed by Crunch Time at 6:15 with Kevin Roth. giving you all the weather updates. Baseball's still going on. We still got, what, three weeks or so left in baseball for the regular season. We still got playoff baseball, which we do have projections for that too. So you could still play,
Yeah, we'll be doing some prize picks for, the first couple rounds of baseball are nice for prize picks. The first couple postseason rounds.
So definitely tune in and check out that. Hit that notification bell. You'll always know when we go live here on YouTube, because I'm here for you every day, Monday through Friday, 11 o'clock Eastern, talking about all things you're thinking about in daily fantasy, props, and pick'em on RotoGrinders Today.